accident or a coincidence. In fact, you are the divine expression of life, perfectly ordained for this now moment. In fact, it's you that we are waiting for today. It is you that we're waiting for. It is you that we are seeking. And you are perfect, unique, holy expression. This is your moment. This is your moment. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your time. So won't you shine? This is your moment. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your time. So won't you shine? So it no longer serves us to look backwards into our lives anymore. Can you accept that life is here and now? It is here right now. Can you predict the future? No, you cannot. Do you need to? No, you don't. We can instead sit in our goodness and allow all things to be just as they are. Knowing and trusting that everything is here now for our highest and greatest good. And accepting this, we shine in this very moment because this is your time, your moment. And this moment is never ending. In fact, this moment is eternal. This moment occurs over and over and over again. So will you choose you over and over again? To shine, to be bold, to be brave, to be self-expressed. For this moment is the moment we have been waiting for. You are the one. This is your moment. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your time. So won't you shine, shine, shine. Shine, shine, shine. This is your moment. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your time. So won't you shine, shine, shine. Shine, shine, shine. This is your moment. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your time. So won't you shine, shine, shine.
Thank you, Jackie Greggs and Daille Kettrell. Welcome to the Center for Conscious Living. I'm Reverend Michael. Please repeat after me. I open my heart to the universe, accepting love and healing. Open my heart to the universe, accepting love and joy. I open my heart to the universe, accepting love and peace. And so it is. Today we have a very special service for you. It's something that has been in the making for some time, and it is Reverend Sue, Reverend Paul, and myself got together and focused our attention on a service that would honor our loss and grief. And we all have experienced that over the last year and in our lifetime, especially with this pandemic over the last 16 months or more. So this service is honoring and paying tribute to our family and friends who have transitioned or died or left the earth plane, whatever the word that you use that best works for you. And we are here to honor them today. Over this last period of time, I lost an aunt that I couldn't go to the service for. They limited it to 10 people. She was my godmother, and she really was special to me. I had another aunt that passed, and I was able to do the service, but I had to do it in the cemetery. And there we had to keep 6 feet distance from everybody, but it truly was an honor. We lost a friend to Center for Conscious Living, and I don't know if we ever had the opportunity to mourn our friend Jared Nelson. It was sudden, and our hearts just know the love and joy that he brings to our Center for Conscious Living, and knowing that now he won't be with us in the physical. And this is not only for people, these are pets. I still think of my dog Harry that passed 2 years ago. We were together for 10 years. And a closest living existence next to me. And we've all had maybe loss with pets. And so in tribute to that, Reverend Sue, Reverend Paul, and myself, we wanted to make a live tribute as well. So we had a grove of trees planted in honor of this service and all the people from the Center for Conscious Living that we lost. Now, today's service is very special. Reverend Sue is going to do the talk. And during the time that she does the talk, we want to create an opportunity for you to enter in names of people or pets, family, friends that you have lost. And then our Reverend Paul Hoyt will be reading their names. After that, then I'll do a treatment. So today, like any other service, we have the same group of lovely practitioners and ministers that have stepped up and are holding the high watch. It's like this cathedral of grace. We have Reverend Marlene, who will be our pastoral support, that will put things in the chat room. We have Regina, who will be third, that holds the consciousness for this service. We have Kathy Miller, who will be our second and take all prayer requests today and throughout the week and send them out to all the minister practitioners to pray for during this upcoming week. And our first practitioner is Reverend Paul. So I'd like to welcome Reverend Paul up for our invocation.
Good morning, everyone. If you'll take a nice deep breath, breathing in the breath of God. Breath brings us present because we can only breathe in the present. We can't breathe in the past and the future. So let's be present in this moment right here, right now, and relax into this divine grace, into this beautiful service, into this knowingness that all of our loved ones who have passed are right with us at all times, watching over us, still interested in us and what we are doing and the causes that they were interested in when they were in the physical form. Knowing that this entire service is the activity of God, that we are all here by divine appointment, by divine love, that we recognize the grief and feel it and allow ourselves to release it whenever it needs to be released. But feel the grief, know those feelings, honor those feelings, knowing that our loved ones are still right here with us as our angels. Knowing that Reverend Sue, her talk is the divine expressing itself, that she steps aside and allows God to speak the words of love. That Reverend Michael is also an individualized expression of God, and he lets the divine flow through. That this whole service is orchestrated by the divine. And that the congregation feels heard, that they allow themselves to grieve, allow themselves to know the truth of the loved ones that have passed. That this whole service honors the congregation, all the people that have passed, and the grieving process. That we honor each other in this journey. That it is the perfection of God. That the entire service is based from that space of love and peace. And in this love and peace, we say, and so it is.
So it is.
The affirmation should be in the chat. So if you'll
And you'll read that
along
after
with
your
me.
reading, Paul, after your reading.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Michael.
Yes,
Sorry.
that's okay. It was a beautiful invocation. We
Thank
all
you.
went there. And Jackie.
Good morning, everybody. Just want to remind you that the Spirit of God is everywhere. If you know the song, you can sing it with us. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. 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 Oh, I used to think that I had to. I used to think that I should. 'Cause the scripture told me that I had to be good. But now I love 'cause I want to. I love because I am free. I'm blinded by the Spirit. Oh Lord, the Spirit of God is upon me. Yes, it is. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. 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 Oh, I don't need any parting, don't need any laws. I want to sing with all my heart that God is my all and all. I let go of my burdens. Loving God has made me free. I'm blinded by the Spirit. Oh Lord, the Spirit of God is upon me. Yes, it is. Oh, is it upon you? The Spirit of God is upon me. 'Cause I can't tell.
Yes.
Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. It's upon me. Oh, every day. The Spirit of God is upon me. It's upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, I thought it was my duty. I thought it was my job. Somewhere I believed that loving God would be hard, but loving God is wonderful. Loving God is ecstasy. I thank God for my freedom. Oh Lord, the Spirit of God is upon me. Yes, it is. Every day. The Spirit of God is upon me. It's upon me. Oh, yes, it is. The Spirit of God is upon me. It's upon me. Oh, yes, it is. Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Come on, sing with us. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. It's on me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. It's in Africa, India, and Asia. It's upon me. Oh, it's everywhere. The Spirit of God is upon me. It's with the Israelis. It's with the Palestinians. The Spirit of God is everywhere. Yes, it is. The Spirit of God is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God
The Spirit is upon me. Thank you, Jackie Greggs and Daille Kettrell. And now we have Reverend Paul once again, and he'll be reading an inspirational reading, and then we'll put the affirmation in the chat.
There are two readings today, one from Rumi and one from Henry Van Dyke. The first reading from Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep our house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Rumi. I am standing upon the seashore. I am standing upon the seashore, a ship at my side. Spread her white sails to the moving breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until at length she hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and sky come to mingle with each other. Then someone at my side says, "There, she is gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight, that is all. She is just as large in mast, hull, and spar as she was when she left my side. And she is just as able to bear her load of living freight to her distant port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at the moment when someone says, "There, she is gone," there's another set of eyes watching her coming, and other voices ready to take up the loud shout, "Here she comes." The affirmation is in the chat. I support and honor myself in my spiritual community in our times of loss and grief. I am love. You are love. We are love. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Paul. Once again, we have our guest speaker who's been an absolute beacon of love and light for our community and has been a tremendous support to both Reverend Paul and myself in our ministry. And we've had many meetings and so whatever I can do to support you, whatever you need. And she just assisted and helped this special service to manifest. And that I am truly grateful for. And she's as well as being a minister for the Center for Conscious Living and Religious Science, she is also a grief counselor and has done training, certified grief counselor. Once again, you may enter names of people that you would like to be read at this service after Reverend Sue's talk. And I'm going to introduce Reverend Sue, which we are so blessed to have today.
Thank you. Thank you. It is truly an honor. And I think just, I've got goosebumps just listening to Jackie and Reverend Michael and Reverend Paul and feeling very blessed that I can be with you today. Person. Whatever you do, you need courage. Whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you that you are wrong. There are always difficulties arising that tempt you to believe your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to the end requires the same kind of courage that a soldier needs. Peace has its victories, but it takes brave men and women to win them. And so today, I just want to thank you truly for having the courage to show up today, to allow us all to be together as a spiritual community, to honor each of you truly, and to honor those you have lost. Well, one thing I can say for sure, we've all lived through this past year. And you know what? I think we could all say truly, and it's been a doozy. It's been a doozy. We've all lived through a worldwide pandemic and had that shared experience, and yet each individual's experience is completely unique. We've had to say goodbye to a way of life. We've lived in isolation and uncertainty. We've learned to wear masks. We find ourselves in a maelstrom of nonsense and confusion. It's as if our day-to-day existence was kind of blindsided. Things disappeared. People disappeared, places, relationships, jobs, schools. Each one of us could fill in the blank here of something that we feel very uniquely was something precious to us, and yet it drifted away. We're not at the community house right now, we're on Zoom. Our dear Reverend Carol's retired. And as Michael said, during this time, we unexpectedly lost our dear practitioner and friend, Jarrett Nelson, who was really a part of our spiritual family. And I know I miss him. I love that smile and that gleam in his eyes. He was always so happy to be with us. We've had great changes, and we've all had many things to grieve. But today, we feel it is really, really important for us to acknowledge each of you, to acknowledge each of us, because we've all lost so much, whether it's been this past year or throughout our lifetime. You know in your heart who and what has been taken, not just this year, but throughout your journey as a human being. And so, as Michael said, as I'm talking today, please go into the chat and put in the names of people who you have lost that are important to you. Because if it's important to you, it's important to us, your spiritual family. And we want to acknowledge that. We want to acknowledge you. And we want to acknowledge part of your own being, because we're all connected. We're all connected here. So as each name comes up, I'm just sending lots of love out in this moment to you and to them. I've heard it said that each time we send thoughts to someone who's transitioned, it's like sending out rose petals, and that wherever they might be, it's like beautiful rose petals are just blowing down around them. And I'm hoping at this point that it will be meaningful to each of you that we have had a grove of trees planted. And your loved ones and you will be honored. We might not know of your pain in the past or the present. I might not have known that you lost someone. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, please forgive me. CCL as a whole may not have known. And if that's the case, please, please forgive us. We love you and we care. We aren't perfect, but we are a community of wonderful humans. And each of us is doing our best to be a good human. Is that all we can do some days, is just try to be a good human? That's enough. Because it takes courage for each of us just to live our lives. It takes courage for us to reach out within our own realm and discover our own spiritual potential. It's where we go sometimes when we try to define ourselves. Our personal reality is what defines us to ourselves. Our feelings, our memories, our lifetime of experiences, our relationships. When we think of those who have died, we often go down the rabbit hole. When we think of someone who was a part of our life, it takes us on this mental journey that leads us usually into an emotional one. And it's usually never just one thing or one person. You think of one thing and it goes to the next person, and then it goes to another experience, and then it veers off in a different direction. It's just how we process things. And grief is definitely oftentimes a cumulative experience. It's a process. Grief is a process. And it's an individual process. No one can tell you how to grieve. That I know for sure. We each have to walk this journey, and we each have to find our way through it. We wish we could go around it. We wish we could ignore it. But if we would want to move on in a way that's healthy, in a way that supports us as living human beings, we want to move through what we call grief. And it's so important right now, just so important that we be gentle with ourselves. Nothing could be more important when you're going through grief than to bless yourself. Be gentle with yourself, because we never know what's going to come up during that process. We really don't. And so you just love yourself through the process as best we can. Because grief is painful. It's very painful. There's just no getting away from it. And it doesn't matter if the process is about something that happened yesterday or at the beginning of our life. It doesn't matter. Time is irrelevant. There's no time and space in grief. None. So grief is painful. Grief is also a diminishing hope for the future. Grief acknowledges that something that has happened and that the future is not what we thought it was going to be. Grief is the diminishing hopes of the future. Something has happened and things are not going to be like we thought they would be. It changed. It changed, and it changed something inside of us. Loss is actually how we process things intellectually, but our reaction to the loss is emotion. We process it best we can, but in our bodies, we feel it. We feel the emotion. And no matter how we process it, somehow it's important for us to move through it because it brings a loss of energy. Grief brings a loss of energy. It brings a loss of our aliveness. Something in us is gone. And the truth is, if we haven't begun to process it in a way that makes sense to our mind and releases some of the emotion that's attached to it, it can become a huge block within ourselves. A block that may very much stop us from living a full and complete life as this human that we are. So really, grief recovery is about discovering and completing what is unfinished in us and in our relationship with that person. Very few of us can say, well, I'm great, no problem, all done, I'm complete. For most of us, it doesn't work that way. For most of us, it could be in this moment that something comes up. It could have been 10 years ago that something came up. It could be 10 years from now that something comes up. And when that does, to be able to discover it and find completion will help bring us peace. Now, when grief comes up, there's something called an energy, short-term energy release behavior. So for example, if something unexpected hits me and I start to go like this, give me a carb, give me a cookie. That's one of my energy relieving behaviors. And they can be anything for you. It could be excessive exercise. It could be eating. It could be drinking. It could be sex. It could be drugs. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we just need something to get us through the night. And that's okay. But if we begin to rely on it rather than process and discover what it is that's incomplete in our relationships with this particular thing or person, it can become problematic. And it can really be a huge, huge energy block in us that begins to manifest in these different ways rather than taking a look at it and trying to deal with it. It's important that we realize no matter how many cookies we eat, we're still going to have to, on some level, if we want to be healthy, if we want to be whole, if we want to be healed in this relationship, we've got to find a way through it. You can have a cookie if you want while you do that. That's fine. In fact, I find it very helpful. Because what we're really trying to do here is say goodbye to the pain. Find a way within ourselves to say goodbye to the pain. What we're really saying goodbye to in grief is the unfinished business that we had with that person. Whether it meant in the last moments of their life or whether it was an ongoing relationship that wasn't what we would hope it would have been. So what we're doing really is not saying goodbye to fond memories. We're not saying goodbye to our spiritual beliefs. We're not saying goodbye to the love and even the maybe not love of that person. Maybe it was just a combination of all kinds of mixed up emotions, but they're part of our life. We have to honor that. So what we're really trying to say goodbye to is the pain of emotional incompleteness. We're trying to say goodbye to the pain of isolation. Say goodbye to that pain of confusion, and whatever it may be. Doesn't have to make sense, doesn't have to be logical, doesn't have to be spiritually correct. It's how you feel. And we need to deal with it, to look at it, to honor it. And this is why we come to a place where crying is so important. Let the tears flow. Let the tears flow. Let it all out. Just let it out. That's what's important for you. Just to say goodbye to whatever the incompleteness has been. Don't let it fester. Don't let it fester. It can be really important during this time to talk to someone that you can trust. Someone who will listen. Someone who will listen. Someone who won't try to tell you or me how we're supposed to feel. Someone who's not going to say, get over it. Put it behind you. Go back to work in 3 days. Whatever it may be, sometimes people say things that are very painful. Don't let people tell you they know how you feel, because they don't. What you want is someone to listen and validate you. If at all possible, find that person. It might be a dear and trusted friend. It might be someone like your minister or your practitioner. It could be a doctor. Whoever it is that can validate your feelings by just hearing them will be a huge release, a huge release. And another step that can be extraordinarily important is to write a letter. You may need to write a letter to ourselves. Sometimes it's helpful because we may not emotionally be in a place where we want to intellectually understand, and vice versa. Sometimes we think we understand, but we've cut ourselves off from our emotions. So to just write a letter to yourself and hear yourself read it might be a way of moving through your grief. I find it also very helpful to write a letter to the person who's died. It is absolutely an extraordinary experience and a safe one, because as you write it by yourself, you can let out whatever it is that needs to be let out. Feelings of love, feelings of anger, feelings of disappointment, whatever it may be. And for myself, at that point, I ask my angels to take that letter in love to their angels, to transform these feelings in love, to allow the feelings, the emotion, the intellect, whatever it may be, to be delivered in grace. It allows us to say goodbye and bring us some peace. It allows us a chance to say goodbye and bring some peace to ourselves, and it could very well bring peace to that other person too. We did, it's about letting go of guilt. Maybe there's something I did and I want to say I'm sorry. Maybe there's something I didn't do and I want to say I'm sorry. It helps us bring completion so we can move on and be those wonderful humans that I know we are each meant to be. And so, of course, forgiveness is a big word here. forgiving myself, forgiving ourselves, forgiving the one who died. My grandmother was in her 90s, and my grandfather died close to 100. And I will tell you something, she never forgave him for dying. She was angry at him for dying the rest of her life. Now, intellectually, does that make any sense at all? Probably not. But emotionally, it made sense to her. So there's things that we can do for ourselves. Don't have to make any sense to anybody else. It's about our own personal journey. And forgiveness is giving up the hope of a different or better yesterday. Let me say that again. Forgiveness is giving up the hope of a different or better yesterday. Make the choice to recover. Your life is precious. You are precious. You are precious to each of us. We're here for you. We love you. You are a part of my family. We're all in this together. I want to thank you for this opportunity and thank you for being part of my spiritual family. You all mean more to me than I could ever tell you. And I wish you peace.
Thank you, Reverend Sue. Reverend Paul.
Nancy Freeman, Mr. Bayfage, Candy Patsky, Edna Kraus, Randy Gutierrez, Diane Hoyt,
I can read a few, Reverend Paul.
I'm trying to get back to where I was.
Bill and Doris Locke, Florence Clark, Jeff Miller, Jean McNamara, Joe Marinelli, Ruth and Edward Rogers, Bob McNamara, Jeannie McNamara, Julie Thompson. Go ahead, Reverend Paul.
Michael Brooks, Jean Messon, Ethel McNamara, Camilla Hartka, Shirley Dragoon, Heather Watts, Wayne Paris, Scott Davis, Tad Bowles, Angela DeVito, Robert Crosby, Robert Hammett, Connie and James Holmes, Eddie Rogers, Harry and LaVue, Carl James Reich, Lucy Hackman, Al Kraus, Marquita McBride, Aline and Louis Hammett, Wendy Weinschall, Helen and Ross Levin, Mario Pelosi, Lorena and Ray Curry, Aunt Gloria, Mary and Benjamin Scottley, Reverend Kenneth C. Davis Jr., Grant and Judy Carpenter, Evelyn and Bob Leach, Jay Penny, Jay Wilson, Michael Jackson, Elder Kench Kaplan Davis, Mario and Jenny Pelosi, Cass and Jess, and Pat, Francis Hammond, Judy Hoffman White, Ted and Sally Smith, Don and Sally Smith, Linda Keebler, Laura Graham Davis, Larry Kelly, Jeff Keller, Meadow the cat, Donald Gunther, Lily Penman, Mars and Janet Flink, Angela D. Bartolo, Alfred Ublinda, Nona, Virginia, Victoria, Tula, Riza, Sharita, Pat Middlemas, Chris C., Kathy T., Jim R., Lanny Hammond, Mike Shiznaz, Rick Driscoll, Michael Sproul, Ethel Harris, Victor Miles, Arnold Harris, Mr. and Mrs. Ted Kalwitsky, Ed and Bill Schulz, my cat Pebbles, Max and Pauline Rosenblatt, John DeFlorentino, Josh Kalkowitz, Phil DiBartolo Jr., Sr., Steve Forsdick, Jody Brightman, Mary Jarvis, Nancy Friedman, Cindy Pritzky, Edna Kraus, Randy Kutzerts, Michael Kraus, Eleanor Davis, Jarrett Nelson, Jean, Joseph, and Francis Barber, Arlene DeTone, all the people in India, Hank the Pig, Diane Hoyt,
and Gary Blanche. And knowing that we're all here by divine right order, all one individual, whole, perfect, and complete expressions and expansions of the divine, eternal beings of the utmost, as we are all lifted up, leveled all into the divine virtues of the Almighty, knowing that our loved ones, we are connected with them on an eternal basis. And love will persist. Love is the expression, expansion, and celebration of all human beings, and is our superpower. It is our connective force. It is knowing that we are one with all the creations, all the manifestations and demonstrations of the divine right here and right now. So we hold all these names sacred in our heart and mind, knowing that they are expressions of the divine, that their life is the divine's presence, that they have served in the most beautiful and uplifting manner, and that we are blessed to be able to share our life with them as we pay tribute to them and hold them sacred in our heart and mind, as we forgive and release any and all indiscretions, knowing that we are all innocent creations of the divine. We rejoice in this knowing that we are eternal beings and that we are blessed by every human being, creation of the divine, pet that we share our life with. And that this is a sacred time. We allow ourselves, our wholeness and our humanness, to grieve the loss. And we honor these people that have come before us, our ancestors, our light sisters, all expressions of the divine in every part of this world and every part of existence. We honor it. We say yes to this life, and we honor our life, our individual presence, and our ability to allow ourselves to love, to allow ourselves to grieve loss, to allow ourselves peace, and allow ourselves to know our own innocence. In this truth, we honor each and every person present. We honor our spiritual community, the Center for Conscious Living, and all people that contribute to our well-being and the upliftment of ourselves and this planet. We honor the diversity and splendor of the divine. We honor life, past, present, and future. And we just allow ourselves to center in our heart, knowing our true identity is love. And our journey is a bountiful blessing. And those that we get to share life with, we honor them and give them thanks and praise right here and right now for the glorification of our being. And in this truth, we affirm this by saying, and so it is.
And so it is.
Take a moment, and then Reverend Marlene. Will share.
And so everyone, just take a big breath and let it all out. And just knowing that there is beauty, there is love, there is understanding that flows in and through and around us. And for that, we thank you, God, for this abundance that is ours to share. We bless these gifts and give them to thee in gratitude and joy, knowing that as we give, we also receive.
Jackie.
Thank you. So this song that we're going to do comes from A Course in Miracles, Lesson 109, I Rest in God. And in verse 2 of Lesson 109, it says, I rest in God, This thought will bring to you the rest, quiet, stillness, and the safety and the happiness you seek. I rest in God today and let Him work in me. I rest in God today and let Him work through me. While I rest in Him and quiet and perfect certainty, I rest in God today. This is the day of peace. I rest in God today. 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 I rest in God today and wake the sleeping truth in me. I rest in God today. The end of suffering is here. I rest in God today. Carry me through storm and strife. I rest in God today. This is the day of peace. I rest in God today. 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 Open up the temple doors and let them come from far across the world. My distant brothers, my closest friends, I bid them all enter here and rest with me. We rest within the peace of God today. I rest in 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 God. I rest in God. I rest in God today. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to do, but rest in God today. We rest together here, and so our rest is made complete. We rest together here, and what we give today we've already received. I rest in God today. I rest in God today. I rest in God today. I Rest in God today.
Thank you, Jackie. That was beautiful. And thank you, everyone, for participating in this service. Okay, we have a blessing for all our guests and also for all our family that joined us today. So please raise your hand and repeat after me. Welcome to the Center for Conscious Living.
Welcome to the Center for Conscious Living.
We're a heart-centered spiritual community.
We are a heart-centered spiritual community.
We open ourselves to you in love.
We open ourselves to you in love.
We recognize the perfection of God within you.
We recognize the perfection of God within you.
We celebrate the joyous being that you are.
We celebrate the joyous being that you are.
You are a radiant point of light.
You are a radiant point of light.
We are blessed by your presence.
We are blessed by your presence.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Thank you. And I think I'm going to go right into our announcements for time's sake. We have, again this week, a survey. It's a one-question survey, and it's attached to the weekly mailing. The one with the purple heart says Center for Conscious Living. It's one question. When do you believe we should return in person? And you get to pick the month. And we very much are paying attention to your feedback. So please answer. Next, we have Kathy would give us an update.
Thank you, Reverend Michael. I just want to talk about our transition to a new senior minister. But first, I just need to say how joyous and grateful and happy I know the Stewardship Council is, the Selection Committee is, with this wonderful collaboration of Reverend Michael, Reverend Paul, Reverend Sue, everyone who has stepped up and just done a beautiful job and helped the Center for Conscious Living evolve. We're still very active in looking for people to apply to become our senior minister, our spiritual leader. In fact, Anton, which is the affiliated New Thought Network, which is our organization, a national organization of New Thought centers, posted our job description in its newsletter. We've sent it out to numerous places, and we're still waiting for that being that is going to be our leader. So just hadn't talked to you about it in a long time and wanted to let you know that we're still actively doing that. But this is just, our community is just so well served by our interim ministers. And I just want to thank you. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Classes, we have Exploratorium of Energy, deep dive series. It's Kundalini Chakras. It's presented by our Mary Note Law, and I'm assisting in that because I love Mary and I love her classes. It's a brilliant consciousness, and I know Mary put so much into it. The first class, it was on June 3rd. These are Thursdays, and it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. There will be things for increasing your intuitive clarity and escalating in your facilities and working with your chakras. There's healing and growth. So please, all of our classes, supporting our classes supports the Center for Conscious Living and also provides us with opportunity for growth. So go to your weekly mailing because it's when the next red tent is, and which will be the 26th of June. It's when the next men's group will be. That will be the third week of June, and it's when the Black Indigenous people of color will have their next meeting, and that will be June 6th. So these are all worthwhile meetings to attend. And our own Reverend Julie does morning chants at 8 a.m. if you're up and want to join that. We certainly appreciate that. We have our good friend who does the Course of Miracles, Reverend Ken, waving to us, and we certainly appreciate that. I just want to say that this was a beautiful service, and we'd like to do something like this to honor our people annually. Don't know of any other community that has done this. So we shared it with Jerry, who was our guest speaker last week, and he was impressed. He was most impressed, and I hope it takes on, because we want to be here for our spiritual community. As the interim ministers and ministers of the Center for Conscious Living, we want you to know that we support you however you like to be supported, and however we can as spiritual counselors, as your community, and as a member of this growing community. And we certainly appreciate your presence. So just bathe in the love, because that's what's present right here and right now. And I think we have, what's up next? Is that Jackie?
Yes.
Also another gift. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As you all are. All right, everybody. It's been a beautiful service. Don't sit there stone-faced looking at us. Come on, let the love in. Let it course throughout your body. Remind your face that you are a happy person. There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Here we go. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. Yes, my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only one more time. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for no more struggles, no more struggles, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I'm only here for God. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Yes. Thank you, Greggs and Daille Kettrell. Music is so beautiful and uplifting. One last thing. For any of the classes, any of our courses, any of our meetings, you can contact the office for further information, and all the contact information and time is certainly in our weekly mailing. But what I really want to say, if anybody's name comes up that wasn't said, or it comes up during the day, just say their name out loud and they join right in with this prayer, because there is no time continuum with the divine. So you say their name out loud and they're certainly part of this service and part of this blessing. And we have one more concluding affirmation by our Reverend Paul.
Beautiful, Michael. Thank you. Beautiful, Sue. Jackie, right on, sweetie. So if you'll repeat, everybody, unmute yourself. And repeat after me. Nice and loud. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something
wonderful is happening to me right now.
Right now.
It is this thing called life.
It
It
is
is
this
this
thing called life.
Of life.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Body.
Life is in my mind.
Life
is in my mind.
Time.
Life is in my feelings.
Life is in my
My
feelings.
feelings.
Life is in all my activities.
Life is in all my
All my
activities.
activities.
I receive it.
I receive it.
Receive it.
I share it.
I share it.
I am it.
I am
Am
it.
it.
And I accept it
And I
I accept it.
just the way that it is.
That's the way that it is.
Thank you, life.
Thank you,
Thank you,
life.
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 And accepting all these gifts today.
Yes.
Well done.
Awesome service. Thank you,
Awesome.
thank you. Great job, everybody.
Thank you.
Beautiful service.
Beautiful music,
Wonderful.
beautiful talk, beautiful,
Thank
beautiful.
Have a
Everybody.
great week, everybody.
You too, Arlen.
Thank you.
Hey, Peggy.
Love you all.
Hey, Joanne. Hey, Sarah.
Well, see you.
Bye.
Karen, too.
Aw.
Hey, Virgie.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Hey, Bergie.
Hey, Julie.
Joanne.
Marty. Hey,
Hello,
Julie.
Peggy. Happy birthday,
And
Peggy.
Lynn. Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Peggy.
Hey,
Oh, happy birthday, Peggy.
Happy birthday, Peggy.
Peggy, happy birthday. Oh.
Renee out on the lake. Are
Hi.
you in a kayak?
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Hi. Hi, Julie.
Hello, Joanne.
I'll be like, get out of here.
Welcome. Hi, Natalia.
Hi. Bye-bye.
Hi,
Hi,
Virgie.
Kathy.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Sharon.
Hi. Hey, June.
Hi.
Different kinds, different colors.
Good job, Paul.
Yeah.
Good job, Paul. Good job,
Great
Michael.
job, everybody.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Good
talk.
job.
Beautiful music.
Thank you.
Service.
Love you all.
Love you guys.
They really don't bother you, do they?
No, they're
Good
catching
job.
all
Good job, Chicos and Chicas.
Like a natural
Exactly. That's exactly what they are.
And I let them
Beautiful
be.
music today.
Although it was weird that
Hey, Carol.
Carol.
Hi, Selena.
whatever reason, I don't know, was it a musical vibration
Bye,
thing?
everybody. Peace out. Have a great day.
Hi.
Really beautiful weather.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
I said, are you okay? He's like, they don't bother me. I was like, okay. Because they were swooping here, swooping there, swooping all over the place.
Well, they was,
And it wasn't just a few. It was like,
Jackie, you're on mute and can hear everything you say. How's that?
Because
You're on mute and we can hear everything
we
you
can
say.
hear everything you're saying.
And it says mute. That's so interesting.
Because Clint's on. Clint is
Right.
Oh, okay. Thank you once again.
Bye.
Hi, Virgie.
Hi.
Hi.
Where's my Virgie? Where's my friend Virgie? Hi, Virgie. Mwah.
Hi, Virgie.
Love you.
Beautiful, Sue.
Love you too. I love you.
It all hurts.
Love you. Thank you.
Did they
Okay.
say they were gonna vote on it or
They
something?
taking a survey.
1 minute left,
Mwah.
and I'm committed.
Mwah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did Paul go? Oh, there we go.
Michael, I'm so proud of you and Paul. Beautiful, beautiful,
thank you.
beautiful job.
I've wanted
Beautiful
this to
job.
manifest for some time, and I'm so happy you stepped in and helped. Thank you
It
so much.
did. I hope it touches people's hearts. I really do. I think it did.
Hi, Joe.
It was so wonderful. I lost my internet towards the end. I did get to hear
Oh.
Sue, and you guys did.
Oh,
I just got back on, but you guys were such. And not only that, you hear the message when you're supposed to hear it. And I so needed that message. I can't begin to tell you. And so it came at a perfect time for me. Thank you.
oh, I love you. I love
Thank
you. You're in my prayers every day, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. You guys, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All righty. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
You have that power.
I-
You have the power.
and so it is.
Bye.